So, welcome everybody. Welcome to Hot Song Podcast. It's November the 20th today, 2025. And the theme for tonight is enlightenment. And this is the third week we are talking about enlightenment. So, first week we introduced the 7 levels of enlightenment according to the schematic scheme. And our definition of enlightenment is we just know. We don't have to learn about it, we don't have to read about it, we just know. So that's when your awareness get to be the point where any information that may be helpful to you, you just know about them. So that is what we mean by enlightenment. And it may seem like it's a little far-fetched because we've been trained that anything we want to know, we have to learn it, we have to do something about getting that information. But actually, when our consciousness is advanced enough, we can just know things that we needed to know. We just download the information from the ether. So when we can do that, then you know that you are truly starting on your journey of enlightenment, because the more you expand your enlightenment, you can actually get to the point where you know everything. It may start with just knowing what it is that you need to know in this moment. And then as you expand, you go through the different tiers. And so the tiers, this is just a little bit of a very high level review. Tier 1 is your soul is awakened. So who knows? It's the soul that knows. And when your soul is awakened, then you start on this journey of being able to know things without reading about it or without having to see it, hear it. You just know. And then as you progress, as your soul gets to be more enlightened, then the part is that your ego will, well, gone is maybe not the right word for it. Your ego starts to align with your soul, because right now your ego and your soul may have very different opinions. So your ego say yes, and your soul may say, no, this is not appropriate. So when you start to expand your soul, start to awaken your soul, part of the necessary steps is to actually let go of your ego's agenda. And you start to become more and more, your ego starts to be more and more aligned with your soul. So when you get to the point where ego is so aligned with the soul that it felt like you no longer have an ego, then you're in tier 2. And then tier 3 is you start to get visions. You start to see the big picture. You don't just know right now. You actually get to know how now is relating to what happened, what may happen in the future, or how is that, does that fit with how what you're doing right now fit with the bigger picture, with everyone else. So that's tier 3. And then tier 4 is when you become so expanded that you don't just affect yourself. You actually can affect your environment as well, the people around you, and even inanimate objects. You can start to organize them. Then you become the healing field. And then tier 5 is when you start to become one with infinite. So you start to let go of your limited, that what limits you to here and now, it starts to align with one. So you start to align with an energy that is infinite. And then tier 6 is you living truth. You are the living truth. It means you are so perfectly aligned with who you are, with what is true, that nothing close to you, nothing near you can be out of line. So you start to rearrange reality. And the last tier is when you become one. So you go back to one. You no longer would be, I would say, fixated on your own uniqueness. You start to understand and know one. What is oneness? So you flow with oneness. You don't even feel yourself being the uniqueness of you starts to fade into oneness. So these are the 7 tiers of enlightenment. And we started to talk a little bit about how to get to each tier. So you can visit a tier. Let's say if you're in tier 1, but you want to, because you need to, plan or work on a project and you want to see visions, then you want to visit tier 3. Then what you have to do is there's a shortcut. So op activate, tier 3, connect activate, coherence activate. So that would take you to tier 3. So you can stay in tier 3 for as long as your state of mind allows you to. So you can get a glimpse of what tier 3 can give you. Or if you need to do something else, you need something that is, let's say, available to you on tier 5, then you can just activate tier 5. So you can visit any tier you want. And then I last week talk about how to get to the first 4 tiers. And we mainly focus on tier 1 last week. So this week, I'm going to focus on tier 2. So tier 1, the hallmark is the soul is awakened. So it's about awakening your soul. And tier 2, the hallmark of tier 2 is the ego is aligning with soul and the soul is guiding you. So that is hallmark of the tier 2. How do you get there? You do very similar to what you need to do in tier 1, only you do it a lot more thoroughly. So in tier 1, what you do is you clear the soul. So you clear karma. So whirlpool activate, karma release activate. So these you can still use in getting to tier 2. Emotional clearing, yes, do that. That will bring you to tier 2 faster as well. Releasing limiting beliefs, so any mental misalignments, you want to dissolve them. And then in tier 2, you have the soul activated and the wisdom eye activated. So full wisdom eye activated, 1 activate. You have some access to oneness. And then your unified soul field is stable. meaning that you can sustain it and you can bring it up easily. So that's what the US app stable means. A little bit about tier 2. So tier 2 emphasis is on trying to get your ego to align with your soul. So what really interferes is our emotions and our thought patterns, how our thought patterns is aligned with our soul. So how do you know that you have cleared your emotional body enough to get to tier 2? Some of the questions that you can ask yourself to find out if you have cleared your emotional body enough is, do you have unconditional worth? Do you know that you are worthy with no conditions? You don't have to look good. You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to be anything. Unconditional worth. You know your worth, not because you are worthy, not because you have earned it. You don't have to earn it. Just being a human being is enough. So unconditional worth. Do you have unconditional worth? If you don't, then you know it's because of some emotions or some belief system that tells you that you need to earn your worthiness. The other thing is, do you have emotional freedom? Meaning that, do you feel happy? You don't have to have a reason to be happy. You just have to choose to be happy. You don't have a reason to, you don't need a reason to feel happy, because emotions is really, you can freely sample any emotions you want. Sometimes you may feel happy, sometimes you may like to feel scared, so you go and watch a scary movie. Why? Because for whatever reasons, it entertains you. So you choose your emotional state freely. You don't have to think that, oh, I'm happy because I have a roof over my head, or because I have friends, or because I have a nice dress. No, none of those. If you want to be happy, just be happy. No, you don't need a reason for any emotions. So these two, do you have unconditional worth? Do you believe that you're unconditionally worthy? Do you believe that you can choose any emotion? So emotional freedom. If you don't really feel that you have these, then that means you still have some work to do. So that's why I want to talk a little bit more about how to clear the emotional body. How do we know we have cleared enough of the emotional body? So I just want to pause here a little bit just to ask for any questions, feedback for now, or it's still good for now. Okay, good. Let me just go back to sharing. Okay. So, so the emotional plane, the emotional body is fourth dimension, and also 4 inches. So 4 inches above the top of your head, you start to access the emotional body plane. The plane, so we have planes of we have planes within our body. So 4 inch from our body, our physical body, is the emotional layer of our body. So to clear this, the best way is to go back to the library of truth for the 4th dimension, which is the emotional dimension. And there are primary emotional truths in the 4th dimension. So I just want to start to bring this up, and we shall do some clearing on this. So there are 12 emotional truths in the 4th dimension. So let's go through them. The first is truth of safety. So do you feel safe? I am safe to feel. So truth of safety. That is, if you somehow feel that you're not safe, then you know that means emotional plane, there is something that is misaligned and needs to be cleared. Because when all is cleared, you should know that you're safe to feel. And second, or truth, is truth of acceptance. All feelings are allowed. All feelings are acceptable. Acceptance is, I think I've talked about acceptance. We were taught that a lot of things are not acceptable. However, the truth is, all feelings are acceptable. It's acceptable to feel angry. It's acceptable to feel jealous. It's acceptable to feel anything. So, truth of acceptance. Truth of expression. So what does that mean? It means that your emotions are meant to move you. You're not a stone. When you feel something, it should make you do something. Your emotions are meant to move you. You are free to express your emotions. Truth of compassion. Feeling connects you to others. So this is how, because we are all really just one. So whatever it is that you feel, it connects you to others. So truth of compassion. If you feel nothing, then you need to look at that. Truth of peace. I can be calm in motion, no matter what's the situation. You can feel calm. So truth of peace. Truth of integrity, meaning that your feelings and your actions should align. If you feel something and your actions is something else that is not related to what you're feeling, then there is a misalignment somewhere. It means that you somehow is being dishonest to yourself, to your own feelings. Maybe you're afraid that if you feel something and you act according to your feelings, you won't be loved or accepted. So you betray yourself. You betray your own feelings. You make yourself do things that you don't feel like doing. So truth of integrity. Truth of forgiveness. Release restores freedom. clears resentment, guilt, and shame. So when you release this, when you embrace forgiveness, it sets you free. Truth of belonging. I am emotionally connected to life. When you feel you don't belong somewhere, that is definitely a sign of misalignment because you are connected to life. When you feel connected, that is a good sign. Truth of joy. Feeling is the gateway to joy. So being able to feel something allows you to feel joy as well. Truth of courage. I can face my emotions. Don't be afraid of your own emotions. Truth of trust. My feelings guide me to truth. When you have integrity, so when you have integrity, then you start to trust what you feel, and what you feel guides you to the truth, to your own truth. Truth of surrender. I let the current of emotion carry me home. So it's about surrendering, releasing into flow, pure flow and peace. When you don't try to make something happen, when you just surrender and let the current of emotion carry you home. So these are 12 12 primary emotional truths of the fourth dimension. And how do you know that you have cleared your emotional body? Is when you look at each of these and consider each of these. There is no, I would say, there's no trigger. There's no misalignments that's going on in your body. And then you know that you have cleared your emotional body enough, that you're free. So, questions, comments so far? Okay. So let's try the first one. First one is, let me just go back to here. The first one, truth of safety. I am safe to feel. So let's just consider this. So just say this to yourself. I am safe to feel. And just allow this sentence to move through your body. And then just feel, is there any misalignments that comes up for you for this statement? You may or may not have anything for this. So the idea is to go through each of these 12 and just sit with each of this and feel in your body if you have any reaction to these statements. Truth of acceptance, truth of expression, and so on. Maybe not all of these have the same charge, but unless you have cleared your own emotional body, then my guess is that some of these, at least some of these statements, would have a charge in your body, meaning that there are some misalignments that you have with these statement of truths for the fourth dimension. Emotional truths, that is. Okay. So, how do we release them? Well, the thing about releasing emotions is that you can't just release on the fourth dimension. Because things, a misalignment in the fourth dimension will have repercussions. It's going to create some beliefs in the fifth dimension. It's going to have some identity or lineage linkage, which is sixth dimension. It may be something that comes from your past life, karma, those things. So seventh dimension, eighth dimension, it may be because of some blueprint corruption. So ninth dimension, 10th dimension. So even though something that is felt on a misalignment in the fourth dimension, however, when we clear emotions, we have to clear it in all the higher dimensions as well. And so this is the script that we use. So in the fourth dimension, so I'm using the first emotional truth. I am safe to feel. But you can use this with any kind of emotions that you want to release. Okay, so you activate what it is that you want first so that your body can start to highlight the misalignments. Then you activate USF, you release the misalignments, then you go to fifth dimension and you release the thought-based misalignments. You go to sixth dimension, you release lineage and identity misalignments. Then seventh dimension, you do home reset, activate, restore, home restore, and then eighth dimension, ninth dimension. So from dimension fourth to the even up to, well, okay, mostly eighth dimension, a little bit of ninth dimension, you can still use USF. But once we get to ninth dimension, 10th dimension, we have to activate the OSF, which is one soul field, to do the rest, to restore strength to the planes. The planes is 4th, 6th inch, so planes of energy. So these, so USF and OSF. So any questions about this first? So far, so good. Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Great. So before I do this, I actually want to go over again the USF and the OSF. So USF is from the fourth dimension all the way up to, I would say, mostly eighth dimension, but probably a bit of ninth dimension. You can, like, USF is still useful. From the ninth dimension upwards, you need one soul field to do any kind of clearing. So that's why these two are the foundation. So why foundation? Because if you just let's just talk about USF first. So as I mentioned, we have had a lot of, I would say, things happened in our life, not just to us, but to our parents and our parents' parents. So lineage, with the lineage, with the collective as well. So, which means that our soul, the operational soul, because we have levels of soul. There is the soul spark, which is the higher level of soul. And then we have the pure soul, and then we have the operational soul. So the higher level of soul is more, I would say, the more energy based, more energetic. But when it comes to the operational soul, what accompanies us, accompanies the body, is really the operational soul. So when the soul and the body comes to, like, being born, and we have things happen to us, maybe trauma, maybe physical trauma, maybe emotional trauma, it actually, it's possible to affect the operational soul. So sometimes the operational soul may be fragmented, or it may be corrupted. So just having the unified soul field would start to clear any kind of corruption, and it will start to, the unified soul field will start to allow the fragmented soul parts to come back together, because it is the nature of unified soul field is to pull your whole soul back together to create a field of energy. So that's why USF is really the is very important. So how to do the USF? Pure energy activate, pure source activate, pure soul activate, void activate, and then coherence. So with the first four, pure energy, pure source, pure soul, void activate, that is four pillars, like also called four pillars. When you add in the coherence, then you actually start to create that field effect. So this is USF. Okay. And then when you get to the higher dimensions, you need one soul field, because USF is not enough. Because the higher dimensions, the higher we go in dimensions, the more we start to touch oneness. That's why we need the one soul field. And I think I've mentioned before that you can activate one soul field. However, when you've done enough healing, the one soul field actually would happen naturally. Until we get there, we can start to activate the one soul field. So one soul field has pure energy activate, pure source activate, soul spark activate. So soul spark is much higher frequency version of our soul. And then pure void. So this is USF, we have void, but it's not pure. In one soul field, we have pure void, so it's a much more powerful field. And then the coherence. So let's just do these two first. I'll do the USF and then switch to the OSF. Let's get these two going, and then we will start to do this. Okay, so hang on. Let me just stop the